Welcome back. Namibia's recent reclassification from an upper middle income country to lower middle income status by the World Bank has sparked national debate. While some may view it as a step backwards, others see it as a revealing reflection of deeper economic issues such as inequality, structural dependence on extractive industries, and the need for inclusive growth. Joining us to impact what this downgrade really means for Namibia and where we go from here is Economist and policy analyst Tio Nakasole from MONASA Advisories and Associates. Tio, good evening and thank you so much for being here.
Yes, good evening, Nina, and thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Tio, let's start with the basics. What exactly does the reclassification mean, and talk to us about how it's also determined?
So what Namibians need to understand is that, countries, they are classified in categories, lower income, lower middle income, upper middle income, as well as higher income. But now this classification, they are being reviewed by the World Bank on the 1st of July each and every year. So now, in simple terms, your country's classification is determined through what we call gross national income per capita. Now, your gross national income per capita, in simple terms, is just your GDP plus your net income, which then get divided by the population. So then that aggregate number that you get is then that is used as to determine as to whether you fall under lower income, lower middle income, higher middle income, upper middle income or higher income country. So now as for Namibia, we happen to fall under a lower middle income category as of the 1st of July this year.
How reliable is this as a true measure of Namibia's development progress by basing it on the gross national income per capita that you just explained?
Yes, your gross national income per capita, as I have indicated, is your GDP plus your net income. Now, you're looking at your GDP, which is just a composition of your consumption, your investment, your government spending, as well as your net export. And in this case, now looking at Namibia, where it is today, is that you look at our economic growth over the past years. Let me just give an example, like from 2019, 2020, perhaps due to COVID-19, we had gone through a financial doldrums. So our economy has not been very much growing well. But from 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024, our economy has picked up, but not at a pace where it was able to address some of the social economic elements such as your unemployment, your inequality, your decent housing, just to give an example. Now, once you have this element which is not in line, with with your economic growth, then obviously it also tells you that your economy is not really doing very much poorly, but it's not at a pace where it's supposed to, solve some of these socio-economic challenges that Namibia is facing.
Yeah, there is a concern that Namibia is stuck in this middle income trap. What are the signs of this and what's needed to escape it?
Well, basically, this middle income trap simply means that it's a constant or a slow economic growth over time, whereby a country is failing to cross the threshold. As I have just indicated, like Namibia, we transitioned into a middle income class category from 2008 till 2025 June. Now you look at that period, if you were to count years back, it's about 17 years. And also that also tells you that we have been a trap because to that classification, because we haven't been able to cross now the threshold. Because if you look at countries like Estonia, you look at country like Czech Republic, you look at country like Seychelles and Mauritius, if I'm to give an example, in Africa. So those are some of the countries that have transitioned into a higher income class category. But what did they do? So they have diversified their economy and they have also taken advantage of their natural resources. And I think as for Namibia, we don't need to be very much pessimistic, because there are some green light. We have oil and gas, we have green hydrogen, and some of these are just part of the investment. And you could possibly see that in 10 years or in 20 years, if some of these are well managed, they have the potential to catapult our GDP in the future.
You mentioned oil and gas there, and I want to just ask you, our economy remains heavily reliant on the extractive industries, but how does this contribute, Tio, to the vulnerabilities exposed by the reclassification?
Given the history of our mining, obviously we have been only do a lot of mining, but we have been exporting, these resources in their raw form. And as you know that if you are, as a country, if you are exporting your product in a raw form, they become susceptible to what we call commodity prices, where you are in a situation where this year perhaps you could be in a possibility of collecting more revenue, perhaps due to a higher exchange rate, for example. So now this fluctuation has really affected Namibia for quite some time. And I think for us also to be able to take advantage of that, we need to make sure that we do value addition. We don't just export product for the sake of mining, but we should ensure that we are also empowering our locals in Namibia, because as I said now, like looking at our unemployment rate is about 36.9% now. And that is insane with a country which is endowed with a lot of resources. So I think also reflecting on the ruling party manifesto, there are really clear indicators and priorities. And if they are really well managed properly, I do believe that we can turn the tide.
Just lastly, Tio, income inequality remains a pressing issue within the country, but how can Namibians ensure that future growth becomes more inclusive and benefits a broader segment of our population?
Given the inequality in Namibia, it has been a challenge for quite some time as well, if I am to recall very well. But also you need to acknowledge the fact that some of the contributing factor to the inequality in Namibia is due to the fact that we in South Africa, we have succumbed to the apartheid in the past, and that have really also exacerbated that space. But for us to be able now to circumvent and turn that trajectory, I think there is a very big need to ensure that we capacitate our local people, we upskills them, because if you have an educated population, anyone who is educated, it doesn't mean that you just there for formality, but someone who is educated has the potential to outmaneuver every situation, to set up a business or to do any kind of things in order to make sure that they don't just rely on the government, or they don't just become trapped in that category. But also the most important thing, especially also when it comes to mining, I think there is also what we call extractive industry initiative transparency, which is also gonna also help us, as much as we are now do a lot of campaigns in terms of our expo, to ensure that even those that are going to take part, or that be it a local investor or foreign investor, at least there is a transparency in the process. And also local people, they should be able to be prioritized as well to take a part in the value chain process. So I think those are some of the things I think the government that have to look at if we are to make sure that we redress this inequality gap.
Tio, it was lovely having you here with us this evening. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.